All right, let's talk about something that's shaping our digital world in ways we barely even notice. We're going to pull back the curtain today on data mining.
You know that feeling, right? You just finished binging a series and bam, the perfect next show just pops up. It's almost magical. Or maybe, a little creepy. So how on earth does it know?
Well, spoiler alert, it isn't magic. It's all about finding these hidden patterns in just massive amounts of data. And these patterns, they're everywhere, in pretty much everything we do online. Yeah, this knack for predicting what you're going to do next, it can feel like there's a ghost in the machine kind of watching over your shoulder. That's the reason you get a coupon for your favorite ice cream right when you're craving it. Or why an online store suggests a product you were literally just thinking about. It's all connected.
So, that ghost? It actually has a name, and it's time we get properly introduced. What we're really talking about here is what the experts call data mining. And it's way less about spooky ghosts and way more about some seriously brilliant and powerful algorithms.
So what is it really? Well, at its core, data mining is basically the science of digging through these gigantic piles of information to find interesting little nuggets, patterns nobody knew were there before. And to do it, it uses this really powerful toolkit, mixing together things like machine learning, statistics, and database systems. And what's interesting is that the term data mining is actually kind of misleading. Think about it. You're not really mining for data. You've already got tons of it. As this great quote from Han and Camber points out, a much better name would have been something like knowledge mining from data. The real prize here is the knowledge that's hidden inside all that information. And hey, if we want to get really specific, data mining isn't even the whole picture. It's definitely the most famous part, sure, but it's just one step in a much bigger process called knowledge discovery in databases, or KDD. I like to think of it like this. Data mining is the engine of a car. Yeah, it's super important, but you still need the wheels and the steering wheel and everything else to actually get somewhere.
Okay, so how does this actually work? How do you go from a mountain of just raw, messy data to that perfect movie recommendation? Well, the real-world process can get super complex, but we can break it down into a few main stages to make sense of it.
All right, first up is what's called pre-processing. This is the cleanup phase. You got to get all your data ready. Scrub it clean, get rid of any noise or missing bits. Then comes the main event, the actual data mining. This is where the algorithms are let loose to hunt for those hidden patterns. But wait, you're not done yet. The last step is absolutely crucial, results validation. You have to double-check that the patterns you found are the real deal and not just some statistical fluke. This is super important to avoid a trap called overfitting. That's when your model accidentally learns the random noise instead of the actual meaningful pattern.
So what does this process actually do? Let's look at a few common tasks. You've got classification. That's exactly like your email program deciding if something is legitimate or just plain spam. Then there's association rule learning. This is exactly how a supermarket figures out that when people buy chips, they often grab a soda too, so they put them close to each other. And finally, you have clustering, which is all about finding natural groups in your data that you didn't even know were there, like discovering different kinds of customers who behave in similar ways.
Okay, and this is where we need to shift gears a little. Because a tool this powerful, well, it's not just about getting better movie recommendations. It has some huge implications for all of us, and it brings up some really tough questions about privacy and, frankly, about ethics.
Now, don't get me wrong, the potential for good here is absolutely massive. I mean, data mining is helping scientists develop new medicines, it's helping banks catch fraud before it happens, it even helps engineers build safer cars. The number of ways this tech can benefit society, it's just huge.
But you know how it goes. With great power comes great responsibility, right? The exact same tools can be used in ways that, well, cross some serious ethical lines. They can compromise our privacy and really push the limits of our laws.
One of the key concerns here is a concept called data aggregation. So imagine you have a bunch of puzzle pieces from different boxes. Each piece on its own is totally anonymous, tells you nothing. But when you start putting them together, suddenly you have a crystal clear picture of a specific person. That's data aggregation. It can basically strip away anonymity by connecting the dots between different data sources.
And this is not just a what-if scenario. This has actually happened. Back in 2006, AOL released this giant data set of what people were searching for. They released it for research, and they were sure it was all anonymized. But it didn't take long for journalists to start connecting the dots. They were able to figure out who specific people were just from their search histories. It was a huge wake-up call for the entire industry.
So in light of all this, how are governments handling it?
Well, we see a couple of different approaches around the world. In Europe, for instance, they've gone for pretty strong, comprehensive privacy laws that cover just about everything. The United States, on the other hand, has taken more of a sector-by-sector approach. So you have laws like HIPAA that protect your health information, but there isn't a single big federal law that controls how most businesses can use data mining.
And that really brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? As we get better and better at collecting and analyzing all this data, the challenge isn't just a technical one anymore. It's not just about can we find a pattern, but should we? In a world where there's basically an infinite amount of data, choosing which patterns to search for, and maybe more importantly, which ones we should leave alone, that might just be one of the biggest ethical dilemmas we face today.